What is up YouTube? My name is Gio, and with a certain virus keeping everyone in quarantine, a lot of upcoming TV shows and movies have been delayed, which for someone like me who makes videos on these subjects, has my brain going a little something like this.
Everybody stay calm! What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm!
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to get a bit more creative for my next few videos, and luckily, I've received a comment on my last video asking me to make one on The Flash, something that I've previously mentioned interest in making. And well, ask and you shall receive, because boy, I've been wanting to talk about this show for a while, and this comment gave me the perfect excuse to explain why The Flash has gotten so bad. For those of you who don't know, The Flash is a DC show that is currently airing on the CW, and was the first spin-off of the show Arrow, or as I know it as, the best show out of the Arrowverse, and if you disagree with me, you are objectively wrong. Anyway, at the time The Flash was very different to the show that came before. Where Arrow always tried to keep itself grounded in some kind of reality, The Flash led in headfirst with its comic book antics, and was met by an overwhelmingly positive response by the fans. However, over time, the show has seemed to dip in quality, and I don't mean in terms of action and CGI, it's fine for CW standards, but where the show is really dropping is in the quality of the story and characters. In my opinion, this didn't become clear until Season 5, which honestly deserves its own video, because by Godspeed it fumbled its way to the finish line. But we are not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Season 6, which had every opportunity to succeed. If it's not already obvious, there's gonna be spoilers for The Flash up until Season 6, Episode 15. So if you're not caught up to the show yet, trust me, you're not missing out on much. Okay, so Season 6 can be split up into two parts: Before Crisis on Infinite Earths, and After, which I will be referring to as Pre-Crisis and Post-Crisis. So let's start off with Pre-Crisis.
No one has to die. Ever. Again.
This half is honestly not that bad, and that has a lot to do with the circumstances of the start of the season. At the beginning, Barry was informed that he was to die in Crisis in order to save billions of lives, and it then became Barry's goal to prepare the rest of Team Flash for post-Crisis. This concept is a great catalyst for character growth, as we got to see how each person was affected by the idea of a world without the Flash. And it honestly grew me closer to many of the characters. Barry in particular actually had some nice growth, as we saw many of his insecurities as a teacher and of leaving the team behind. Those insecurities led him to having a great contrast with the main villain for Pre-Crisis, Bloodwork. Where Barry was trying to accept and prepare for his upcoming death, Bloodwork, who was dying from HLH, refused to accept it and tried anything to have a chance to stay alive, which created a nice battle of ideals between him and Barry.
It takes courage to fight death.
Maybe it takes more to accept it.
The other characters got some great growth as well. Cisco got to learn what it takes to become a leader on Team Flash, especially without his powers. We got to see people like Frost and Ralph come into their own as characters. And Iris actually did some fucking reporting and got her ass out of Star Labs because she'll have never been in a leadership position in the first... Sorry about that, went on a little rant there. My point is that Pre-Crisis Season 6 used the events leading up to Crisis to help push our characters forward, and I can't say the same for Post-Crisis. Now, Pre-Crisis isn't perfect, it does have its problems, but those become more prevalent going into the second half of the season. So I guess it's about time we quit delaying it and talk about Post-Crisis.
Maybe figure out who you want to be in this post-crisis world.
Post-Crisis suffers from many problems, but I grouped them up into three main points, that being pointless characters, a terrible villain, and a boring plot. Let's start off with something The Flash has had a problem with for a while: pointless characters. The Flash is very familiar to adding new characters every season, but it's starting to become a little out of hand. This season, The Flash has added not one or two, but 3 new main characters. 4 if you count Chester, who has been in like 3 episodes but is already promoted as a season regular. If you've lost count, that is 11 main characters on The Flash. Barry, Cisco, Caitlin, Frost, fuck you, they're different characters. Iris, Joe, Cecile, Ralph, Camilla, Allegra, and Harrison Wells number who cares. That is 11 fucking characters. Okay, you know what? I'll throw you a bone. Let's eliminate the characters who are barely in any episodes and whose plots don't exactly connect with the main conflict. After doing all that, we have eliminated, drumroll please, fucking nobody. The Flash tries too hard to give every character something to do instead of shrinking down the cast to the main essentials. Look, it's easy, I'll do it. Camilla is just Cisco's girlfriend and doesn't need to be in every episode. She's gone. Allegra is a boring character and is only used to add some depth to the new Wells, and you could just use a character like Cisco for that, so she's gone. Chester, fuck off, you are pointless, we already have a tech guy in Cisco. Cecile and Ralph, we'll give them a backseat. They aren't as important to this season as they would be in any other season. That leaves us with 7 main characters and only one of those that you need to establish. And that's a lot better than having 11 characters with 4 that you need to establish in some way. By having a bloated cast, it makes it hard for the writers to expand on characters we already care about, because they're too busy making sure that the newbies have a spot in the season. It also takes away time we spend on developing our main villain and their connection with the hero. And speaking of the villain this season,
Flash is losing his speed, draining all the rest.
During post-crisis, our main villain is Eva. Who is Eva, you may be asking? Well, she was trapped in the mirror dimension because of the particle accelerator and is connected in some way with Black Hole, the organization that Iris has been investigating. Eva has also trapped Iris in the mirror dimension without her knowing and made a copy of Iris in the real world to do her bidding. Now, you might be thinking, hey Gio, this sounds fucking stupid and it is not related to Barry at all. And you would be correct. Eva is the worst villain the Flash has ever had. Yes, worse than Cicada. To understand what makes Eva a horrible villain, we need to first establish what makes a good villain. And for this example, I'm going to be using Season 1 Reverse Flash. I'm specifically talking about Season 1 because the overuse of this one fucking villain over the following 5 seasons has been pissing me off. So what made the Reverse Flash so great? Well, I would argue that it wasn't his powers or his grand plan, even though those both played a part. But rather what made him an amazing villain is his connection to Barry. No matter how big of a cast the Flash has, Barry Allen is the main character. He's the one we connect with the most, the one we are cheering to defeat the villain. And this means when Barry has a strong connection with a villain, the audience will as well. This can be seen across the CW shows, where the main villain normally has some kind of connection with the hero, whether it be based on emotions or ideology. Eva has none of that. She has no connection to Barry or the Flash, but rather with Iris, who, I must stress, is not the main character. What made Cicada such a painful villain to watch last season is the fact that there were so many opportunities where Team Flash could just defeat him, but didn't. It seems that in order to avoid that same scenario, the writers made it so that the main villain has no connection with Barry or even interacts with him, and that created an entirely new problem that we've just discussed. Now we only have 6 episodes left, and Barry hasn't even seen Eva, so any hopes to have a good villain this season has been flushed down the damn toilet. However, pointless characters and a horrible villain are only symptoms of the big problem Season 6 has. That being a boring plot. Post-Crisis Flash feels like a bunch of filler episodes loosely tied together. Team Flash has to deal with Black Hole for a bit, then help out Gorilla Grodd, and are currently trying to create an artificial Speed Force? All of those plot points I just mentioned aren't connected to each other at all. Post-Crisis has no direction, which makes 0 sense to me because it's obvious where the focus of the back half of the season should have been. This is best shown in episode 16, Grodd Friended Me. The episode starts with Barry walking under a bridge, looking around with flowers in his hands. However, his search was cut short because of a distress call, and we see our previous ally Hartley Rathaway robbing the jewelry store where Flash received said call. We later find out what Barry was looking for.
You know, this morning when I got the meta alert, I was trying to find my parents' graves.
Both these situations and changes were a direct result of the crisis. If the first half of the season was about preparing for crisis, then the latter half should have been about Barry dealing with the aftermath and decisions he made during it. In Crisis, Barry let Oliver as a Spectre bring him into the Speed Force, which as a result made the Speed Force unstable, slowly killing it. Now in the show, the Speed Force is dead and speedsters like Barry and Wally are slowly losing their speed. So Barry has to use Nora's journal to help create an artificial Speed Force. That is admittedly an interesting concept. Barry managing to avoid death in Crisis, but still may leave Central City without the Flash. That could lead to some great character growth. However, because that is not the main focus of the show, we keep jumping back to Iris in the mirror dimension with Eva, and it brings the show to a grinding halt. The best episodes during the back half of the season have been the ones that are directly in response of Crisis. It seems like it would be so obvious to have that as the focus, but the writers apparently didn't think so. Now we have a plot that is painstakingly boring with no focus, and as a result, it makes the main villain less interesting and stunts potential character growth. The Flash is a show that has gained more and more problems over the years, with this season lining up to be my least favorite, and it's purely because they never used Crisis as a springboard to elevate the show or get more creative. They had the complete power to change the show from the ground up or fix minor points to enhance the story. But instead they chose to do nothing. This is why in my opinion season 6 is the worst season of The Flash, not because they tried something that didn't work, but because there seemed to be no effort whatsoever to try and make this season different from the others, when the tools to do that were practically given to the writers on a silver platter. I wish I still enjoyed the show, because I'm sure the actors are doing their best. But I can honestly rant about this show for hours. However, I'm already 5 pages into this script, so I'm going to have to stop eventually, but I think I got my point across. I would like to try and rewrite this season because there's so much wasted potential that someone has to take advantage of it. But that's up for you guys to decide. In conclusion, The Flash may be the fastest man alive, but season 6 just feels rushed. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I talk a lot about Crisis in this, so if you guys want to know more in depth of my thoughts on that, click the box on the left. And if you guys want to know my thoughts on another CW DC property being Batwoman, hit the box on the right. And also, if you're just interested on my thoughts on other things related to superheroes, TV, movies, things like that, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, let me know your thoughts on the videos, whether you agree or disagree, and I will definitely respond to them in the comments down below. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace!